Topic: the inaccuracies establishing a man-made purpose for this existence. Produced by Black Bottom James at BKK Productions. Theme: Jesus is real. Please subscribe and be prepared to be amazed and astonished. There are significant reasons for denoting the occurrence of the many events of this life having an impact, either emotional or financial or both. We are not aware of the many ingredients displayed into the occurrence of our planet, as they are part of the programmed variables in the creation process designed to be a happenstance of events in a visual and emotional simulation. Certain ramifications are invariably intended to happen, while distressing our lives and many times placing man in a precarious position of placing a burden or impacting those decisions in the progression of this planet and species, regardless of what man does or does not do. The creation of man and his home, Earth, has a reason for being, and no one or thing has the power or authority to redirect the time needed for this planet and completing its journey meeting its required purpose. For a segment of people, the riches of the earth were given, or there was a freedom they sought, building empires and kingdoms and building domains and conquering the earth's fortunes. Some lost their empires and fortunes due to foolishness or the inability to anticipate changes in the marketplace, shrinking demand for their product or service. For others, their freedom was torn away, never having a chance to participate in the affairs of business, leaving them with no hope or chance of ever having a possibility of ever being introduced to this market on endless possibilities. For most, their dreams were reduced to a world of only survival, of placing food on the table, as all hope had diminished, leaving them without potentials and probabilities. All hope was lost. There has been nothing written providing a reason for these occurrences, as the real purpose of these activities besides the discriminatory activities of the period, with these being always prevalent in any era of the American century, were true and accurate, yet it still happened in plain view of the Creator, and we wonder why it seems He tolerated an ethnicity being treated so unfairly, abused, prejudice, racial bias, all by another race only because the white race felt they were privileged, as they somehow had obtained greater value, as their pigment defined their racial priority with all elements of society was in their control. Was this a time for the Creator to step in, re-establishing control and requiring a fair and equal experience for all, or allow time to remedy this without intervention from the Creator or a designated representative? This entire organization and construction of this country was taken by force from its original owners, the Native Americans. Was this a predetermined exercise of an invading party having an advance armament, deciding on a strategy used in disarming the tribes, destroying their food, shelter, and clothing resource in the bison, reneging on treaties and massacring of tribes of Native Americans in the continued expansion of the United States of America? Many European, Asian, and Australia settlements established its roots by acquiring property of others and building, developing, and cheating previous owners in establishing empires or kingdoms. Many countries conquered their opponents in acquiring the opponent's property in their quest for colonial command and control. This was not a surprise for the Creator, as many colonial powers took the property of their weaker opponents, especially in Africa, except for the Zulu and Ethiopian nations. In Africa, most were returned in the 1960s and 70s, after pilfering all the resources of the land. How was all this possible, and where was the Creator? What were His thoughts? Was this beyond His control? God had created an entire habitat for man called Earth, and this is what the Creator had planned to happen? Well, There was a supreme competence controlling the inhabitants of this planet, and it was not out of control but continuing in its plan and purpose established by the foundational roots of this planet, leading to encounters, engagements or assignments for the life and experiences of mankind that was part of the creation process not known by its participants. Further, its furtherance and continuation will not be disturbed or interrupted by circumstances or incidents occurring throughout these pathways of life on this planet Earth. Therefore, man will continue his existence and the earth will remain his dwelling place until all the conditions of this creation have been met or convened, satisfying doctrine of authority for man and his home, the earth. Yet, this commandment will commence and remain active in other activities of man and his community of participants until a provocation of actions has been determined for every man, woman, and child of this planet. During World War II, the war between the Allies and Axis powers should never have been in question, for if the Nazi had won, democracy would have perished. Therefore, creation would have been lost, with the world living under an authoritarian rule without freedom for man. The Axis powers of Germany, Japan, and Italy formed the Tripartite Pact, had a common bonding of fascist, imperial Japanese and Nazis governmental control. These systems were controlled by three men providing all command, constraints of the governing authority of all people living within the domain and control of every country they attempted to occupy and manipulate during their reign of terror. The Axis powers planned to control the entire world, requiring all citizens of the world would be under the control of these three men, Hitler, Mussolini, or Emperor Hirohito, hindering and impeding all rights and privileges the Creator had given man, but more importantly, preventing man from making decisions. The Allied powers consisted of the UK, USA, Canada, Australia, France, and many other countries, which were democratic, providing man the freedoms from the Creator since his creation and inception. In these countries, man was free to all the privileges provided to man, not subject to constraints and restrictions prevalent in a Nazis-controlled world. Religious freedom would have been so blatant and intruding, causing many people to revert in underground religious practices, hindering the entire Christian identity, not being a world the Creator had planned.